Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? Just a second. All right. So yesterday in college, I played. I had the over in the Army Tulane game because I couldn't trust Army, but they ended up kicking the shit out of them. And then I had the over in the Boise Vegas game, figuring there'd be more points, but there wasn't. So I lost that one. But both were very small. Today I got 3 locks in college, and I got 1 lock in the pros tomorrow. So let's go through college now. I've just looked at the line. So here we go. We got Ohio and Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio, it's kind of like an E. They're both kind of E teams. They both score mid-20s and give up 17 in points on defense. So probably a good, strong defensive efforts. Both with good defenses and, not a lot of points. The game's in Detroit, so no weather to worry about. I don't see any injuries. So again, Miami of Ohio's 2.5, 45. Arizona State and Iowa State, very interesting game. I played this very intuitively. Should be a good game. Arizona State plays in the desert, obviously, and this game's in Dallas, Jerry World. So Jerry. You got 2 A teams with 20 defenses, so should be a good game. I don't think it'll be a run out. I think it'll be close. Iowa State could easily win this. Both defenses are about even, so it's not like Arizona State's got like a Pittsburgh Steelers defense. It's okay, and so is Iowa State. So it should be an interesting matchup here. Georgia, Texas. Texas is now -3, I believe. I wrote the spread. I scratched it off for the new spread, and this is 2.5. So Texas is 2.5 and 49.50. So it's at Georgia Dome in Atlanta, where the Falcons play. So we will see. Should be a good game. And I keep hearing, Texas is going to win. And based on what? They played, Georgia beat them 30-15. That matters. Georgia is a dog you've got them basically as a home dog. Really? This should be a war. Should be a very good game. As far as I know, I think it'll be a close game. And I am really scratching my head that Texas is favored. Lou Lafayette and Marshall. Lou Lafayette, the A team. It's 5.5 and 57. Lou Lafayette favored. The game's at Lou Lafayette. You do have an injury on Lou Lafayette. Their quarterback is out, but he's been out for 3 weeks, and the replacement Fields has not been bad. Marshall went to Braxton, and he's like 17-2, so he's looking really good, the Marshall quarterback. They've been playing really well. They're a B team, kind of. They're probably an A team if you just look at the last 5, 25 defense. Lou Lafayette, an A with a 22 defense, so it's pretty even, and it's at Lou Lafayette. Oregon, Penn State. Oregon 3. Now I saw some better lines on Oregon. No, it's 3, 3.5, or 4.5. So we're going to go with 3, and a total of 50.5 now. Yeah, they'll definitely should be points in this game. Oregon scores against everybody; they don't care. This line, I think, should have been more. I think Oregon -7. It's not at Penn State; it's in Indy. So as far as that goes, being in Indy, so it's a neutral game. Oregon doesn't have to fly all the way to Pennsylvania, which that's a big couple hour help there. I know it's 2 hours to like New York from here, so that's 2 hours less of flying. Oregon should do what they do. They're pissed they weren't in the playoff last year. There's no way they're losing this game. Penn State, and who would they beat? They played USC 33-30. They played Ohio State 20-13, and they played Minnesota 26-25 or something. So their defense looks good, playing Purdue, playing Northwestern, playing Illinois. Pretty good defense. So does Oregon, though. You got a 14 defense and a 16 defense. Oh, it should be a good game. I'll be shocked if Oregon loses this. Clemson, SMU. SMU is 1.5, I believe now. No, 2.5. Yeah. 2.5, 55.5 to SMU. This game is tonight at 8 o'clock. My line's SMU -7. They're a much better team than Clemson. Clemson just lost to Georgia Tech and South Carolina. SMU's at least as good as those teams. Very strong offense and a very strong defense. The only loss was 18-15 to BYU. I don't like this. So anyway, Clemson 23 defense, SMU at 20. Clemson a B team, SMU's the A team, and beat everybody. I don't like this playoff format. So in other words, they just randomly select, Alabama's number 12 in the country. You fucking lost to Oklahoma 26-3. You're not number 12 in the country. The way they're playing, they won't win a playoff game. It's terrible that they're keeping out a good playoff, a good team like Miami, who's much better than Alabama. Well, they play in a different conference, and look at who Alabama beat. They beat Georgia. Yeah, and they lost to fucking Tennessee, and they lost to fucking Vanderbilt, and they lost to fucking Oklahoma. How is Alabama so good? Oklahoma sucks. Okay, Vanderbilt's a good team. They beat Georgia is the answer. Oh, well, if they beat Georgia, yeah. This whole bullshit of ranking, I would imagine they sit in the room and they look at the TV revenue and they go, who gives us the most TV revenue? Oh, Alabama over Miami. Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? Boise, they don't give us much TV revenue, or, Cincinnati, or one of these, Conference USA teams, or one of these Big 12 teams. Do you have like Arizona State, BYU, and Iowa State in the playoff? No. You don't know what you're doing. The conference champions should automatically be in. And then you got to go by buys, but do you go by record, or do you go by – I don't think you go by record. I think that's absolutely retarded. I think you got to go by now we got a couple of noon games. All right. 2 noon games, Iowa State, Arizona State, and Miami of Ohio and Ohio. I think you just go by How do you do it in the NFL? Well, it's based on wins and losses. The difference is Alabama plays Mercer, you know, and Miami doesn't. So Alabama gets rewarded for beating a Division II team and playing Akron or Kent in the beginning. So they get 2-0 wins. Okay, they beat Georgia, but they lost a lot. They lost to fucking Oklahoma, who's terrible this year. So it's really hard to rank different teams based on different schedules. And you can't even look at Michigan at the end. They beat Ohio State. Does that make Indiana beating Michigan a better win now because you guys aren't happy who they played because the Big Ten made the schedule? They're in the Big Ten. The Big Ten made the schedule. They did play Michigan. They did play Ohio State, Washington, Nebraska. They just didn't beat Ohio State, but it was a punt return and a fumbled punt, so they lost 17-15. Okay, does that make it feel better? Is that why Ohio State scored late to say, look, we scored with 1 second left, and they got penalized for it because they lost to Michigan? They should get really penalized for losing to Michigan because Michigan sucked this year. How Michigan won was just terrible coaching. If Ohio State would have watched the Oregon game film, they would have saw. So really hard to understand. And it's to have 4 SEC teams in is ridiculous. That's not the point of the play. The playoff should be 16 teams. 12 is ridiculous. These buys are ridiculous. It's so unfair. So basically, you should have 16 teams, and then it goes 8, 4, 2. And again, this should not be human involvement. Just like in the NFL, you win your division, okay, even though somebody's going to win the NFC South, Atlanta or New Orleans or Tampa, they're in. You can't look at them, but then you got the wild card. So Pittsburgh's going to win the division, Baltimore, but you're a good wild card, San Diego and Denver. There's no decision. But the problem is here you got different levels of strength because the SEC has a lot of good teams, so there's a lot of losses. But then the Big 12's got a lot of good teams. They're getting, I don't know why they don't look at the Big 12. The ACC sucks. So really, Miami to not win it should be, I think SMU should be in. I don't think Clemson should be in the playoffs. I don't know why they're in this game. Miami should be in this game. You should have your best 2 teams in that. Clemson should never have been here. And then the winner should go in, but then you can't penalize the loser for getting to the conference championship game. If Penn State loses, I think they should not be in the playoffs because they didn't play anybody. I think it should be Indiana and it should be Oregon for sure. And then I don't even know about Ohio State. You just lost to Michigan. It's like Alabama losing to Oregon or losing to Oklahoma. You can't just forget, but they're in the Big Ten and they're in the SEC. Michigan, Ohio State, that's a rivalry. So it's okay that Ohio State loses. No, it's not. They played 2 games against 2 teams and they lost them both. They got lucky against Indiana because it was raining, and that's it. Indiana's the best team in the Big Ten, so I hate to break it to you guys. I know you they didn't play anybody. Is a bullshit. They played the same Big Ten schedule as everybody else. Penn State didn't play a big schedule. If you want to go there, they beat West Virginia in the first week, and then who did they beat? Maryland and Illinois and Minnesota. Almost beat them. They played 1 game against Ohio State. They had no Michigan. They beat a bad USC team and a bad Washington team. So, yeah. But when Indiana beats Washington, it's not a good win. But when Penn State beats them, it's a good win. Okay. So, and then you got Notre Dame sitting there who doesn't play anybody. Army and Navy. They beat Louisville, who's not even in the ACC championship game. They did lose to Northern Illinois. Let's not forget that one. And they beat USC, who, again, big deal. So, again, when do you look at the record? You know, you look at the record for Notre Dame, but you don't look at the record for Notre Dame or for Alabama. Now all of a sudden 3 losses is okay, but if Notre Dame had 3 losses, they wouldn't be in. If Penn State had 3 losses, they wouldn't be looked at. Ohio State is close. They're lucky they don't play this week, because if Ohio State played this week, and they'd get loss number 3, they wouldn't be in it. So it's weird the way these guys look at it, but I'm not buying it. Anyway, let's see if my chat's working. Okay. So that's it. That's my take on the playoff. I think all the conferences should be in, even the Sun Belt. Believe me, both Arizona State and Iowa State would be competitive in the playoff. Whoever wins the MAC should be in. Boise, they should be in. Army should be in when they won their conference. Marshall, Lafayette, whoever wins that should be in. Why aren't they capable? We've seen that before. Okay, Marshall played Ohio State and lost. Okay. I don't buy Penn State losing, getting in, and I don't buy Clemson winning, getting in. They already lost 3 games. So it's kind of a double standard here, just like the government. Well, the record counts here but doesn't count there. BYU, they've got 1 loss. Why? Where are they? No, they might have 2 losses. I think they have 1 loss. Anyway, where are they? Why aren't they in the playoff? They should be. And why is this is the last ranking? So if Alabama's 12 and Miami's 13 and they don't play, they're going to stay 12 and 13. Why is Miami 13? And why is Alabama 12? Alabama's not one of the top 20 teams in the country. The way they looked, no Rose is terrible. Come on. It's like, why don't we put Oklahoma in? They've got 3 wins. So it's a real, these guys have their heads way up there. They're worse than the Federal Reserve. Why are we choosing the top college teams? You should, if you get a win, you should get so many points. It's not hard, fellas. Alabama beat Georgia, they get 5 points. Alabama lost to Vanderbilt, they lose 5 points. Alabama loses to Oklahoma, they lose 10 points. Alabama beats Mercer, they get no points. Alabama beats Akron, they get no points. Then let's add up the points, and that way we get the judgment out of it. And then it's based on your schedule. And if you want to schedule Mercer and Akron, you get no points for it. And if you go beat Georgia and they lost to Tennessee, I don't know about Ole Miss that they beat them. But so Alabama loses to Tennessee, Oklahoma, they beat Georgia. All of a sudden that counts for more than the Tennessee loss and the Oklahoma loss. It's a terrible system. It sounds like the government, which is a terrible system. All right, so that's what we got. We got 3 college locks going today, and we got a pro lock tomorrow with the college lock. Locks $77. You want? I already did the class, but you got to have an email. It's by email invitation, so I already did it. I give you all the scores and games today and tomorrow. And that's $50. No, there's no discount because there's a few games this week. There's 9 games this week. I don't know. Next week, I'll probably just give the Army-Navy game. And then if you want, buy the pros. And then the bowls will come out as Todd's waiting. That'll be $100 for all the bowls and the playoffs. Classes are always there, $25 college, $25 for pro. So I could do a bowl class maybe for $50 once the bowls are announced, I guess, after next week or this. I don't know if they'll be this week or what. And then the pros are there, $25 a week. Fuck, I've been so hot in the pros. 9-2 last week. So it was a great way. I was 22-3 last week. So hopefully we'll get there this week. But again, there's less selections. I got 6 games today. I won the Army under, and I lost the Boise. Or I won the Army over, and I lost the Boise over. And then I've already hit the Lions on Thursday. You guys are missing that. That was a big game, and I played that. I don't know, so that game's available. Anyway, you get what you pay for. Unlike in what did he say? It's Attack on Wall Street. The Maroney, the attorney, and he says, "Well, it's not like this. It's like in law, you usually get what you pay for, or something like that." So, anyway, so anything else in football? Oh, I got to go through pros, don't I? All right, so let's quickly go through pros. We got Tennessee 3.5, 39.5. They're both Z teams with 28 defenses. We got Mac Jones against Levis. We got the Jets against Miami. Miami is 5.5, 45. They're both under teams with 22 defenses. Atlanta Mini is 5.5, 45.5. Cousins against Darnold. Atlanta's an E team with a 25 defense. Minnesota's an A with an 18. This is always Atlanta's problem, is they always have a bad defense. Minnesota, very good defense, 18. New Orleans, then the Giants. New Orleans 4.5, 41.5 to the Giants. We got Drew Lock against Derek Carr. Both teams with 23 defenses. We got Carolina at Philly. Carolina Z team, 31 defense, and Steve Young. And Philly's an A team with an 18 defense and Hurts, and mostly it's Barkley running it down your throat. Pitt 6.5, 43.5. Cleveland's a W team with a 26 defense, and Winston. Pitt's an A team with a 19 defense against Russell Wilson. Now, Cleveland did play fairly well against Denver until he throws 2 pick sixes. So keep that in mind. Oakland and Tampa. Tampa is 6 and 46. We got Oakland, the Z team with a 28 defense, and O'Connell. Tampa Bay, an over team with a 25 defense, and the Baker. Seattle, Arizona, 2.5, 44.5 to Seattle. Both are under teams with 22 defenses, just like the JETS game. Smith against Murray. Murray never seems to play against good defenses. Buffalo, 3.5, 49. Buffalo's an A team with a 19 defense. Josh Allen. The Rams, an E team with a 24 defense, and Stafford. So they're missing Aaron Donald, obviously, of course. And so their defense is okay. Then you start getting into the injuries and everything. So here, so it's Buffalo 3.5, 49. The Niners, 4-44 to the Bears. The Bears under team with a 20, and Caleb, and the Niners E team, 25 defense, and Purdy. So they're missing Bosa and they're missing McCaffrey. So it's hard when you have stars because the backups suck, and that's what's happening in the Niners now. Purdy's okay. He's not the superstar. KC 4-43 to San Diego. San Diego B team with a 16 defense, and Herbert. KC with a B with a 20 defense, and Mahomes. This will be an interesting game here. We'll see. And our last game Monday night, Cincinnati 5.5, 49 to Dallas. Cincinnati, the over team. Both teams with 28 defenses. Burrow against Rush. Now let's go through teams that need the game. Minnesota is trying to catch Detroit. Atlanta is trying to win their division. So it's Atlanta and Tampa need it in their division. Minnesota, Green Bay, and Detroit already played. Minnesota is in a must-win. Philly is in a must-win to not only clinch the division, they get Washington is there, but to try to catch Detroit for the 1 seed. Pittsburgh they're trying to catch KC for the 1 seed. They got a 2-game lead over Baltimore, so they got to keep playing. Tampa has to win to fight with Atlanta for their division. They could still be a wild. Well, I don't know. It's getting hard because you got Green Bay, Minnesota, and Washington pretty much locking up the wild cards. So you got to win your division, which is Atlanta and the other. We've got. Oh, okay. I was wondering. I have no watchers, so I'm glad I see somebody. I thought maybe something was wrong with YouTube. How you get that? Let's see. So Tampa needs it. Arizona, Seattle, they both need it. It's like clogged up that whole NFC West. They all four need the game. They're all four probably not going to make the wild card. Buffalo is looking for the 1 seed, but they don't need it. They clinched their division. And here's where you get the Rams need it. Buffalo doesn't. So you're kind of looking at what do you do here? So the Rams should play him a good game because they need the game. Buffalo doesn't, and they got to fly to LA. So that's a little edge to the Rams there. The Niners and the Bears. Bears are out of it. The Niners need it, as I said. San Diego, KC. KC's got the 1 seed, so they don't need it. They want it for the 1 seed, but there's a big difference. They're probably getting bored. They're barely beating Carolina and that. San Diego is, they can still mathematically catch KC, especially if they win here. And they're tied with Denver for the wild card with Baltimore. So they got to keep winning. I don't see them not caring. And Cincy, Dallas, they're both kind of out of it. I think mathematically Cincy can still win, but they got to beat Denver and they got to beat San Diego or Baltimore. And they've already lost 2 to Baltimore. So they're really close to being out. And I think Dallas is out. Teasers. Okay, Jacksonville play against Tennessee is 10-2 this year. Play against Jacksonville is 11-1 this year. So Jacksonville basically bet against them every week. You're 11-1. The Jets bet against them every week. You're 11-1. Minnesota, as we know, 26-3 the last 2 years, 11-1 this year. It's hard because Darnold wasn't there last year, but they're 11-1 this year, so it's a good coach, I guess, that's keeping that. Again, if you're chatting with me, I can't see anything. That's why I put mine in to make sure it's working. Let's see. Pitt. So that's Minnesota. The Giants play against 6-0 as a home dog. Play against for the year 10-2. So they're a bet against team, but New Orleans is no picnic. Pittsburgh 11-1 in a teaser this year. Tampa Bay 10-2 in a teaser this year. Buffalo 11-1 in a teaser this year. San Diego 11-1 as a teaser this year. KC's like 9-3. They're 5-1 as a home favorite. 5-1 bet against as a home favorite, as Kansas City likes to do, is play close games. And Cincinnati. What do I got here? Play against Dallas as a home dog 4-0 and play against Dallas overall 10-2. So there's certain games you're playing against and certain games you're playing on. So like Pittsburgh you want to play, but you want to avoid the Jets and Jacksonville. And it's just the good teams cover and the bad teams you bet against. It's as simple as that. And it works and it works and it works. Now, it's hard to do a trend analysis. This is why I laugh at these stock guys or the gold guys. Well, in 2008, the gold did this, and it's doing a triple Lindy, and it's a cup formation. And you're like, but it's not real. It's derivatives that are pricing it, not the public. It's not free market. In the regular stock market, I don't think it's free market anymore. Too much is being dumped in. Like this ETF, this Bitcoin ETF's totally made off. It has nothing to do with the buying. And now they're fucking the Bitcoin is not 21 million anymore. It's about 121 million. Because once you do derivatives and you do ETFs, they're controlling a large portion with a little. So like in gold, it's a 4% derivative controls the 96% of paper. So they're trading a billion ounces, but there's not a billion ounces of gold or silver. And that's what's happening here. So that's why it's hard to use trend analysis in football. I can use it on a few teams, Kansas City, teams that are consistent. KC, you've had Humpty Dumpty and Mahomes. So, yeah, you can go back 3 or 4 years with them. And it's the same thing, and they had Tyreek Hill and he's gone, but they replaced him. But you can look at those trends. Philadelphia, I think. We go through this list. I can't use Dallas because Cooper Rush. Cincinnati, I can use for Joe Burrow. KC Mahomes. San Diego's got Harbaugh. You can't use it. Frisco, you can use it, but you got an asterisk because of the injuries. Chicago's brand new coach. Now they got not even a brand new coach. They got now an interim coach. How good's this guy? You're making him the head coach. You don't even know what he is. He wasn't even your offensive coordinator 2 weeks ago. So Thanksgiving, they lose to the Lions. You fire the offensive coordinator. It's 2 weeks later. It's a week later. And now you got rid of the head coach. I'd get rid of Caleb, but that's me. And now you got a new head coach. You got a new offensive. Who's the offensive coordinator now? You made this guy who was, I don't even know who he was. He wasn't even an offensive coordinator. So you got trouble in Chicago because you need a good coach. Urban Meyer, Hank Stram, Sean Payton, not these clowns you bring in there. And the GM should be fired. He doesn't know what he's doing. Anyway, let's see who else. The Rams, you can do a trend. You got Stafford and the coach. Buffalo, you can use 3 or 4 years back. Arizona, new coach. Seattle, new coach. Tampa Bay, you can use. Baker's been there. Oakland, new coach and new quarterback. Pitt, Russell Wilson. You can use a little bit of Pitt because of the coach still being there, but not with Russell Wilson. Now he's got a good quarterback. It's like Tampa. They sucked, and then here comes Brady, and all of a sudden they're winning Super Bowls, and it's the same thing with Pitt. They got nobody at quarterback, right? And now all of a sudden here's Russell Wilson. Now you got a real quarterback. And the thing is, you got a real defense and a real coach. That's all you needed is the quarterback, and you see what he's doing, throwing for 400 yards. I don't think Pickett or Mason Rudolph threw for 400 yards in their careers. Cleveland, no, it's Winston. You can't use. Philly, you can use. Hurts and the coach has been there. Although they do have new offensive and defensive coordinators. But that's why they're playing good defense, the new defensive coordinator. And now they're an 18 defense. That's why we look at the numbers a lot. And I kind of play the numbers as the teams instead of the teams. So I don't look at the brand Philadelphia. Look, they're an 18 defense. This is how I play 18 defenses. That's how you got to get to that level because you can't, I like Philadelphia. I like San Francisco. You can't like them. You got to like the numbers. Carolina, who knows? You got a new coach every year. The Giants for sure no. Now you got Locke. New Orleans, I think they had a new coach. Oh, they fired their coach, so who knows? Minnesota kind of can use. It's a kind of a system there. 18 defense. Atlanta, no, with Cousins. Miami, you could use with Tua and the coach. The Jets, who knows? They're scrambled eggs with their coaches and Aaron Rodgers. Tennessee, no. Levis, but you got a new coach who sucks. And Jacksonville, now you got Mac Jones. You could use it with Lawrence and the coach, but not there. Detroit you can use with golf and the coach. And Green Bay, this is the second year of Love and that coach. So you can probably use those. So you can see the problem. Washington, no. Denver, no. You got Bo Nix. Although next year you can use Denver with Bo Nix and Sean Payton. I like Sean Payton's coaching. I hate Jimmy Johnson not coaching because he's a really good coach in a league where there's no coaches. And that's why I like Sean Payton being the coach. Belichick, it's so obvious that it was all Brady, right? And so Belichick gets kicked out of New England, and nobody wants him now. North Carolina, oh, what a maybe for basketball, not for football. So nobody wants Belichick because they realize it was all Brady, and he's a good defensive coordinator, I think. So you got to be, you got to see it what it is. So there's very few good coaches in football. A note on the Lions and their fourth down things. I think watching the game Thursday, I think I realized what he's doing. He's a very clever coach in psychology, not in coach. He's a terrible coach, but he's good at psychology. He's got these players playing way over their heads. Not only that, he brings in these other guys who it's all the scheme, so they look better. But the fourth downs, what that is, it's a psychological thing. It's got nothing to do with the game going for it or not. It's to stress the defense out. It's a psychological move that the defense says, oh, shit, he's going for it on fourth down. So what's the normal defense? First down, we're going to try. Second, okay, we hold them to third, we get off the field. That's the mentality of the defense. But then he goes for it on fourth down, which stresses the defense out mentally. Oh, fuck, he's going for it again on fourth down. And so that's the ploy, is to go for it on fourth down to stress out the defense, not anything else. It's got nothing to do with the game about winning or losing from a football standpoint. It's a psychological thing to get the defense thinking, oh God, it's third down, and if we if we don't stop them, they're going to go on fourth down, and it puts stress on the defense because now it's two plays. And then if you notice the play calls, like at the goal line, he could have played those on third down, right? But he chose to play him on fourth down. That's why he goes for it. So the passes in the end zone, these guys are wide open. You're like, well, why didn't you do that on second down? You could have ran the same play and had the same result 2 plays earlier, but you're fucking with them and doing it on fourth instead of third. Third, we're going to run in a line. Fourth, we got this little pass play that's wide open. So we look like geniuses that we went for it on fourth when the play was there from first down. So you should have had a first down play. And what is this? Oh, my God. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't want Christmas apps. Oh, my God. Really? Fuck you. Stop ringing me. Let's check any emails. Is my thing off again where I can't? Nobody's texting me. No. So that's what he's doing, is if you notice the play calls. Now, when he goes at his own 30, shows you how bad of a coach he is. That should have been a punt. You can't go. The momentum was on Green Bay's side. It was like third quarter. I think it was 24-21. You got the lead. You don't go for 4th and 2 at your own 30. Well, he's being aggressive. No, he's being stupid. The aggression at the goal line, okay. I don't love it, but okay. The aggression at your own 30 or your own 20 or at Baltimore at your own 15 is purely lack of coaching knowledge. You have no idea what you're doing. You shouldn't be coaching to do that because the risk is not worth the reward. If you don't make it, you lost the game. But if you do make it, So what Baltimore did with San Diego at their own 16, so you did it. What did you get out of it? Nothing. Okay, now you got the ball at your own 17. You didn't gain anything, but the risk was you're going to lose the game. That was pretty stupid. The Lions, it was the same thing. The risk is you're going to give the ball up at the 30, and Green Bay is going to go in and score because they already scored, I think, 2 touchdowns at that point in the third quarter. And that was just punt the ball away. How do you not have faith in your defense, right? So, again, we'll go for it on 4th down because it shows confidence in your team. And if you miss and you lose, like against the 49ers, you cost them the fucking Super Bowl, showing confidence in the team that didn't do it. Oh, but it hit the guy in the hands. Yeah, but he didn't catch it. Frisco goes down, scores a touchdown, they win the game. You cost them the game. You kick the field goal is the prudent move as a good coach. It's not a matter of aggressive. It's a matter of intelligence. So if he ties the game up with the Niners, then the Niners score, you scored, the game would have been tied. You have to kick, especially in the bigger games, you have to kick the field goals to tie the game 100% of the time. Sorry. If you don't have a kicker, then, go fire your GM and get a kicker in there. I cracked me up that everybody loves the GM. Like, what the fuck he did from the Rams? Yeah, he did shit at the Rams. Again, you're winning with Goff is just luck. He's not very good. You'd be better with Hooker. It's just the same thing with Atlanta with Penix. You'd be much better with Penix than Cousins. He's not a little better. He's a lot better. We've seen Cousins act. There he goes. He'll probably get killed by Minnesota tomorrow. He's a choke, right? And so we've seen that over and over. We saw Daniel Jones over and over, yet they still play Daniel Jones. We don't know why. Are you trying to lose? That's the message I get. It's like the Federal Reserve. You keep printing money. Are you trying to have inflation? That's what it looks like, is you want the inflation. You want the dollar to go out. You want to go to some digital currency because you think you can control everybody, but it's not real either. That won't last 2 months. Bitcoin is an investment. It's a baseball card. It's a collectible. Bitcoin is not an investment because it's not real. And so therefore, how you can't make Bitcoin money because you don't know the real value, and nobody wants to spend it. So how are you going to go to the grocery store with it? Nobody's going to spend Bitcoin. They think it's going to $20 million. And they don't realize the dollar is worthless anyway. So even if it goes to 20 million, you'll never get the money out. So it's the same premise there. You just got to be smart. So is that what the Federal Reserve's doing? Because it can't be this stupid, right? Who's running the economy? So with that point, you have that. So that's what the coach of the Lions is doing, psychology, not coaching. He doesn't know how to coach. He's not a good coach. The offensive coordinator, the only reason Goff's any good is he has balance so he can do play action passes. Because of the running game, you have to honor that, and then he can throw the ball. But he's not throwing the ball to St. Thomas too much. And people are getting wise to this offense, but they still can score. So Goff's good because it's play action pass. And that's what Joe Burrow's bitching about. Give me a running back. Let me do a little play action pass, or let's have a running game because the defenses are coming at me because we can't run. They're just blitzing every down. Let's fool them. So that's what the Lions are doing. They have the balance. They can run pass. And if you notice, those teams are winning. Philadelphia with Barkley. Who are the other running teams? San Diego's running the ball. Denver's running the ball. Who's the other guys? Minnesota. Jacobs at Green Bay. Philly, Pittsburgh has Najee Harris and Russell Wilson. The teams that get in trouble are the one-dimensional teams. That's why I bitch about the quarterback. Caleb, he throws the ball 50 times a game, or Drake May throws it. And these will never work. You must have balance. You can still throw 50, but you got to run. You got to have 90 plays and run 40 of them. And that's really what's going on. That's why the running backs are key. I keep getting confused with college, with Boise and Kansas and these teams with the good running backs. So when you look at the runners in the NFL, the teams that are standing out are Philly and Baltimore and Detroit and Minnesota and Green Bay. And, that's why the Niners were so strong. That's what's hurting KC. They just did get Pacheco back, so that'll help them. You need balance because it confuses the defense. If it's one-dimensional, the defense, they're going to pass the ball or they're going to run the ball. They know it. But if it's, I'm not sure, are they going to run it or pass it? That's a different story. So I got to play both ways. Anyway, so that's how you really build the team. And that's why golf is good, is it's balanced. Now, this bullshit of fourth down, it's all psychological. It's like war. It's like, well, we're going to put pressure on them. So they're going to be thinking on third down, we're going to go on fourth, which stresses them out because they want to get off the field, right? That's the whole point. Defense, hold them, give us the ball. And Detroit does these fourth down. So it's purely psychological. It's got nothing to do with football. It's got nothing to really do I'm aggressive. He's not being aggressive. He's playing psychological games. He's putting pressure on the defense. On third down, I got to stop them. Oh, shit, it's 4th and 1. They're going for it. And they have fourth down plays. I still don't see a lot of teams using the Dave Casper play, which is always wide open. You just fake it to the running back and the tight end goes across and nobody's with them and he's wide open. It only worked for Dave Casper and the Raiders like every time in the 70s. That was John Madden's play. But nobody uses it. It never fails because the play action, everybody's coming in for the run, you play action it, and the tight end should be wide open, and they don't do it. They just incredibly stupid offensive coordinators. That's how bad the game's gotten when you can't do a play action pass at the goal line, which works 100% of the time. But anyway, so if you notice the Lions' fourth down plays, except for the play at the 30 where they ran the ball, the ones at the goal line were passes, and the guys were wide open and could have been run on second or third downs, but they choose to run them on fourth to stress the defense. So what he's doing is stressing the defense. That's why they're successful. They're scaring the defense, basically, psychologically. Green Bay couldn't handle it, and I'm sure it broke them. They did. However, at your own 20 or 30, you shouldn't be fucking with them. Do it on their side of the ball is fine, but to do it at your own 20 or 30, now it's stressing them, but it's stupid because then you don't make it. You give up a touchdown. What are you doing? That's bad coaching. That's not smart. And that's not stressing the defense. Now it gives the defense a lift. Oh, we held them. Anyway, so I will buy gold probably next week because I get 2 checks this week. Plus, I just got paid. And gold's waiting for me, although it's not going to wait much longer. And you got and silver again. Now, the guy on Mark McGuire had to be the stupidest guest I've ever seen. I don't know. He was like a teacher at some college, and he wrote books. He's had to be the dumbest guy I've ever heard. I don't know where they get these guys, and then the host lies and says, "Oh, it's popular demand." Every host is popular demand. Nobody's demanding. I'm saying I don't want to guess. I come to see Mark McGuire. As I say, you guys come to see me. You don't want to see anybody else giving you the football and the economics because nobody else can really do it. So you want to see me. If I had a guest on and I shut up and the guest is talking, I wouldn't have anybody watching. I wouldn't watch it. So it's really frustrating watching Mark McGuire with these stupid guests on. And the guy's saying, I don't know anything about gold. Well, what the fuck you doing on then? What do you think we're watching for? We're not watching. We don't want to hear this idiot talk. And so I think it's more of they probably pay him to get on, and then he lets them talk, and then they can sell their books and their other shit like he's Johnny Carson or something. And it's really frustrating because if they're not on Mark McGuire, I never heard this guy, never, and then he's trying to sell it. Oh, buy his newsletter, buy his book. And this Andy Schechtman's just pushing to buy his gold at his store. He doesn't know. He just talks a lot, doesn't know anything. So it's very frustrating with that. Anyway, look for gold to really jump, especially. So Daria is saying prices are going up in Russia, which means I guess it's probably lack of competition, so they can raise the price. Because in competition, you can't just raise the price. If Coke goes up to $10 a bottle, I'll buy Pepsi, or I'll buy 7-Up, or I'll buy Faygo. I don't need Coke. It's all sugar water anyway, or God knows what they put in it. So I don't care. Anyway, let me show you some videos. So again, in college today, let's review the lines. The game starts, there's 2 games at noon and 4, and then there's, I think, 2 or 3 at night. So we got Miami of Ohio, 2.5, 44.5. We got Iowa State's now favored. Whoa, Iowa State's a 1 and a 50.5. Interesting. Well, what's going on there? Texas 2.5, 50 with Georgia. Lou Lafayette 5.5, 58.5 with Marshall. Oregon 3.5, 50 to Penn State. SMU 2.5, 55 to Clemson. So not much change there, just in the Arizona-Iowa State game. 8 o'clock, Clemson, SMU. 8 o'clock, Oregon, Penn State. 7:30, Lou Lafayette and Marshall. 4 o'clock, Georgia, Texas. So why does Georgia, Texas get the 4 o'clock window? And then the other 2 are competing at 8 o'clock. And then at noon, Iowa State. Now, why do they make them at noon? Nobody wants. I got things to do at noon. So that's what's going on in that. Let's look at some videos. So here's what's going on if you think nothing's happening. There's an economic collapse in France and the UK. France on the brink of economic collapse. And we're not going to, you don't need to watch the video. We get the gist. And the UK is also going bankrupt. Germany is going bankrupt. Japan and China are bankrupt, and Russia's on their way. So now the water's coming in the boat, and it's all over the place. And they're not going to run to the U.S. because they can't afford the dollar. So an example is I gave Daria some money for food. I give her $100, and she gets $106. Well, wait a minute. Why? So they can't afford dollar. They don't have $106 to buy $1. They need the wheelbarrow. And so that's the way it is in a lot of countries. Although for some reason it's not that way in the UK. I don't know why they're broke, why their dollar's still like 80 cents to our dollar. So it takes like 120 to buy a pound. Why? And the euro's like 95 cents. Why is that better? That doesn't make sense. So anyway, these these countries are starting to collapse. Keep that in mind. Okay. That's like you're always looking for the water coming in the Titanic. That's the water coming in because they can't afford dollars, even if they didn't de-dollarize. So if I can't afford the dollar because my currency's down because it's an FX thing, it's not even real. So if my economy's collapsing, what do? I got to get out of my currency and I have to bring in gold. France, are they smart enough to bring in gold? I don't know. The UK has no gold. Canada has no gold. So they're all going to collapse. Is the plan to go on some crypto or digital currency? That'll never work. Nobody wants it because it's not real. Well, you'll have the credits. So you'll just have an account with, well, no, I got money in there. I can go to the bank now and pull $2,000, put it in my safe or go buy gold with it. I don't want it in the bank very long. And if I didn't get a check Monday and then one on Thursday, I would have went today to get it, but I'll go Monday probably. And this is the problem. So don't fool yourself. This is collapsing. The U.S., France is collapsing, and the UK and Japan, and that's why they're selling all their T-bills because they realize they're holding on to Madoff money. It's not real. It's worthless. This is how the dollar collapses, but yet these guys are too stupid to understand that. Some of these guys. Let's look at Egon. Tell us
How
about
do you think that this debt will ever be repaid? Especially now when the deficits are going up exponentially, and you're talking about 2 trillion in the current year in the US, going up to several trillion in the next few years. So the debt will never be repaid. You can say that doesn't matter. Well, of course it does, because the effect of increasing the debt and living on air, which is all the world is doing, is that the currency will just continue to disappear to nothing. And the country cannot live with weak currency. You look at Switzerland. Switzerland has had low inflation, low debts. That's why the currency has been strong. That's why the economy has been strong in Switzerland. Not as strong as it was, but still better than in most countries.
So here's why I'm quitting politics.
Well, I disagree with him that Switzerland's good, but that's what he's saying. Oh, because I've heard that in the hot tubs in the sauna. Oh, well, we just won't pay our debt back. Well, you can't just not pay the debt back because then who's going to loan you money? And you have no money. Your money has no value, so you're fucked. This is the backbone of everything, right? So keep that in mind. This is bullshit. What he's saying. Now, I was watching this Jim Willie only because he talked about bricks and gold.
We're going to hear from.
I'd say he's possibly a Keynesian. I think right here. So he does talk gold. He does agree with us. Otherwise, I don't listen to him. This is the problem being stoic. The more you know, the less people you want to hang out with, because if you say gold and they don't understand gold and they don't like gold, you don't hang around with them. You don't waste your time because they're too stupid to talk to. They're too stupid to relate to. So this is the point. You got to be very careful with that. And this is what happens. So knowing, in my notes, I talk gold and inflation in my title. And so we're going to talk about it. But gold, you can't print. See, it's all about supply and demand and being limited and being demanded. You can have something limited, but there's no demand on it, right? You can have a PSA 10, 1965 Don Wirt card who played on the Tigers, right? It's not worth anything. Nobody cares. Nobody wants it, right? So it's worth $1, even if it's a PSA 10. However, you have the Mickey Mantle. Now, we don't know what a PSA 10 sells for. We know what a PSA 9 sells for $60,000 we saw on eBay. So it's limited and the demand's there. The demand's there because of Mickey Mantle or Tom Brady or Willie Mays or Sandy Koufax or, Michael Jordan. That creates the demand as the player, right? Gold and silver create the demand because they're limited, but they're money and you need it. Why do I need gold? Well, because of the inflation. And I'm watching on the screen yesterday on Bloomberg, and I'm watching, and I don't know which country this was. They're all the same, and they're saying, "Oh, well, gold, inflation's going down." No, inflation can't go down. This is the problem. You have all these Keynesians thinking, well, we can just keep printing. We won't run out of money because we can just print more, without understanding if you keep printing, it doesn't have a value and nobody wants it. And that's what's happening to the US dollar. Nobody wants it. BRICS is going to gold because it's because they don't want the dollar because they know it's worthless. So here's Trump going, well, we won't trade with you and 100% tariffs. And they're going, fine, we don't want your money anyway because it's worthless. So who are you scaring, Trump? Trump doesn't understand inflation. He's going to spend more and more and more because 99% of the government, he brings in Elon Musk. Who's Elon Musk? Some idiot. And he's gonna come in and cut government. Yeah, it'll never work. You can't cut government. It's called lobbyist. And by the way, Elon Musk, I saw, is the biggest donator to the government. He's a lobbyist. He lobbied for Tesla. That's why he gave him a lot of money. Now, I don't know where he got his money from. He's not a smart businessman at all. You're trying to sell electric cars. There's no demand for it. You're trying to sell space. What are you going to do with that? People are going to pay to go up in space? Really? I don't think so. People don't have money, and is there even demand for it? I doubt it. I don't want to go to Mars. Well, you can't get to Mars. You'll die of radiation poisoning. So Trump doesn't get it. So the point is, these guys who look at charts don't get inflation, and inflation can't go down. It can only go up because you're printing and you're going to print more money. Inflation is money printing. It is not prices. Maybe it's prices in some of these countries that doesn't have competition. Let me qualify that. So maybe there's not all this competition in Russia, but I believe there is. But let's say there's not. It's the Putin company. He makes bread and milk and eggs at the grocery store. I saw they have like fake Coke there where it's the same bottle, but it's Russian Coke instead of Coca-Cola because they won't trade with the U.S. They can't, the embargo, so they can't do it, or the sanctions. So is there competition? So Daria is seeing prices going up, and my response would be, well, just buy the other brand that's cheaper. They got to sell it, right? And this is the problem in some of these. Now, Russia's not supposed to be communist. So I don't know if there's competition, but if there is, you would think Coke would be $10 a bottle, but Pepsi would stay at $3, and everybody would buy Pepsi. Nobody would buy Coke, and that's why inflation doesn't work in the U.S. It's probably the competition. I can buy, Meyer brand or Target brand. I don't need Coca-Cola and have my pop. So I'm not married to the brand. I'm married to the product, and I don't need Coke. I can get green tea. So that's really where it becomes, you can't measure inflation in the U.S. Oh, it's up 3%. Oh, it went down because prices went down. Prices go down doesn't mean you stop printing money or there's less money, which is what inflation is. Prices going up is that could be because the dollar's losing value. See, that's their thought, is prices are losing, or the money's losing value. It takes more money to buy the product, and that's what they're trying to measure the inflation with. But then the prices come down. Well, the prices come down not necessarily because inflation is getting better. There's no such thing as deflation. It's just prices going down because there's no demand, because that's what the market says, supply and demand. So if nobody wants to pay $10 for Coca-Cola and all of a sudden the price goes down to $5, is that deflation? No, that's the market saying, no, we're not going to pay $10 for Coke. Deflation is prices going down. That makes no sense. That's just the market. The market refuses. You're overpriced. Tesla wants $100,000 for his electric car that nobody wants, and they're all catching on fire. So why would, so he can't sell it So he lowers the price to 60,000. That's not deflation. He was over market and now he's coming down. It's not like the money got better and it takes less money to buy. That only works with gold. That's what will happen with gold. Things will be much, a house will be $10,000 of gold instead of 500,000 in monopoly money. It's the only thing. That's the only difference. So again, stop talking prices and stop looking at charts. As I said in football, you cannot technically chart gold because it's price fixed. It's JP Morgan. They're doing the derivative dance. They're putting in put options and then they're putting in call options. So they want the price to go down and they want the price to go up. You can't trend that. That's bullshit. That's not, you can trend the market. You can't trend that. So it's just, it shows you how little these guys know when they talk like that. They don't know it. That's what frustrates me the most. That's the point. Inflation is printing the money. You're inflating the supply of money is inflation. Period. End of discussion. The more you print, the value of the dollar drops. That's still inflation. Debasement's only coins. So guys, stop saying debasing the currency. You can't debase paper. You print paper. You can debase the coins by taking the gold and silver out of the gold and silver coins, but you can't debase paper. How do you take the coin out of the paper? You don't make any sense, you guys. You lose credibility and you sound like an idiot. You sound like Madoff when you start debasing the currency. No, you debase the gold and silver coins. That's what Rome did. Not this. You don't debase this. You inflate it. You're inflating the money supply. So with that said, that's what you really are looking at. So inflation can never go down because you keep printing the money. You're not stopping. You keep printing it. And you keep having all these social services. And then why do you look at the labor supply thing and unemployment and people working when they're all government jobs? That's not created by the market. That's the government saying, look, the jobs are fine. We're going to keep printing money. And whoever's doing behind this doesn't know what they're doing, or they're trying to bankrupt the U.S. on purpose, which is my thought. This war is about people that hate Russia, and they want to destroy Russia. I think that's what this whole Ukraine thing's about. You provoked Russia by saying, well, we're going to make Ukraine in NATO. And Putin doesn't want rockets on his border, which neither would we. Neither would anybody. Keep your rockets in your country, and I'll keep mine in mine. This NATO thing's bullshit because it's for World War II. It doesn't really need to be there. It's really stupid at this point. So keep that in mind. NATO is a joke, but that's what it is. We're forcing Russia into the war by saying we're going to make Ukraine in NATO. So can Trump end this war? I don't know, because the people in government now, the Biden people, hate Russia and want to destroy Russia. They also hate America and want to destroy America. That's why they're printing the money. That's how Trump got elected, but Trump doesn't understand it either. Your only out is the gold-backed currency. That's it. And the problem is we don't have any gold. So people that think we have gold are really stupid, because not you, Luke, but I mean, the higher ups, they're really stupid that they think there's gold, but we won't prove it. We won't show it. So we don't have any. If we had any, we'd show it. If we don't show it, we're bankrupt immediately. Now, I don't know why people think we have gold and they'll accept the dollar thinking we have the gold backing, like in Money Heist. Spain would have went bankrupt, but the professor gave them the brass gold, and people thought they had gold to back their money. And that's the same thing here. They think we have gold to back our currency when we don't. So we can't sell our gold. Bitcoin is a fantasy. It's not real. It's nothing. Anything you can't hold is nothing, right? This is worth $5, at Caesars because I can hold it. So imagine playing craps and you're playing digital. Well, I don't really have money. I just have this digital money. Yeah, that'll fly well with the pit bosses. Anyways, that's what you have. And for somebody like me, it's really frustrating because inflation's going down in Chile or Pakistan, wherever it is. No, it can't. It can never go down because you've already printed the money. And unless you burn all your money, the only way to get rid of inflation is new money must be backed by gold and silver. That's just the only way to get the inflation. How the Germans did it in the 20s. They had the Deutschmark and they came out with the other mark, the Reichsmark, or the other way around. One of them they had printed to death. They came out with a new one. That's what Com did. But in a few years, that was worthless too because it wasn't backed by gold. So when Hitler went in 1932, they were broke. And that's why he created this fake money, and that's why he stole all the gold. So at the end of the day, even if you switch, it's still bullshit money, right? It's not real. So that's what you got to understand. It can only be real value if it's backed by gold. Or you might as well back it by Mahomes card. The reason this is worth something is it's real. I can hold it. It's 50. Okay, I believe it, but I can hold it. That's why this is real. And that's the point of it. It's not, it's not just paper. And at least the papers I can hold. At least I can hold this. I can't even hold the Bitcoin. It's fake. It's not even real. It's not anything. It's digital. Why would people spend $100,000 on air, on nothing? What's going to go up? How do you know it's going to go up? Look, it went up to 104,000 and now it's back to 97. It just lost $7,000. And with Trump doing the bullshit and the economy, people will not. I think people will go into the. I think people are realizing they need to get out of the dollar, but the problem is they should be in gold or going into Bitcoin. But again, the pricing of gold and silver is not based on people buying it. It's only based on the derivatives from JP Morgan and COMEX. Now, I heard that they're coming out, I think Mark McGuire said this yesterday, where there's a physical exchange in China and in Russia, and they're going to bypass a lot of their buying. They're not going to use COMEX. They're going to the mines in South America to buy the silver at a much higher price. And I believe COMEX is blowing itself up with these ridiculous prices. How can silver be $30 an ounce? And yet the coin stores are so stupid. This is the price they use. Well, it's a COMEX. It's a paper price. It's a derivative price. It's not a real price. What is wrong with you guys? So people don't realize what's going on. And these guys are going to cry at the coin stores who are selling it cheap. Now, they're buying it cheap. So I guess it's a wash to them. But if I can buy it at spot, it'd be going into the safe in the back. I would never have it out for, they asked me to sell them mine at 2,000 an ounce way back when it was about 1,800. And I said, add a zero. You make it 20,000. That's my point. So anyway, this is what you must understand. This is all a show and a game. This is to kill you here. This is all terrible what they're doing. This Bitcoin is like the Pied Piper. We're gonna walk over the cliff, fellas. You're all gonna be broke because you're putting your money into Bitcoin, either in 401ks. I don't know. There's this new ETF. All this money that went into the ETF. You realize ETFs aren't real. They're okay. We'll have an ETF for the Caesars $5 chip. Well, let's call this a 1 ounce of gold. Let's use my 1 ounce gold. So let's pretend this is 1 ounce gold. It's the right color. And because this is that, we'll do an ETF and we'll have 30,000 people thinking they own this 1 ounce of gold. Well, how can all 30,000 own the 1 ounce of gold, of which you can never get? So if you try to collect your gold and silver on an ETF, you'll never get it. How are you going to get a Bitcoin that doesn't exist? You can't. Be careful of ETFs. anything with Larry Fink, be careful. He's a crook. So you got Larry Fink with it, run the other way. But the U.S., the inflation can't go down. They're lowering interest rates to try to save the economy. But what does that do? It does stimulate the economy. Who gives a fuck if you stimulate the economy? You're already in a recession now. But if the government doesn't say it, you don't know you're in it, right? And that's the joke of it. So keep that in mind. Inflation never can go down. The only way you beat inflation is new currency, and it better be backed by gold and silver, because that makes it real. That gives it the value. Is the gold and silver gives the dollar the value. The dollar by itself is just a piece of paper. This is monopoly money. It has a 5 on it and some Roman thing, and it says euro, but it's a piece of paper. And what you could buy with it, see, here's the key. What you could buy with it when it was introduced and what you can buy with it now are apples and oranges. You can't buy, let's say this would buy you a dinner when it first came out. Now it'll buy you probably a pack of gum, right? That's about all it's worth. So the value of the money loses because you're printing it. That's the concept you must understand. Once you understand that, then you just laugh at all this shit. Oh, inflation's down. Oh, how is it down? Did you back it by gold? No. But they won't tell you gold is the key because they want you to be in. It's all a Ponzi scheme. The bankers are running the government, the JP Morgans, the whoever else. They're the ones running the government, and they don't want to lose power. And if we go gold, they lose power because nobody needs them. So they want you in dollars. So they'll never say the dollars are going out. They'll never say gold's good. Any financial planner, I would say, I wouldn't even go to one because what are they going to say? Well, we want you in these stocks and bonds. That's because A, they get the commission, and B, that's where the banks want you in stocks and bonds. They want to keep you in the monopoly money because they print it and print it and print it, and they want you in it. And they don't care if you lose it, because I showed you Attack on Wall Street, and the guy says, all we care about is the commission. We really don't care about the customer. Well, they don't give a shit. They're just trying to get commission off you. They don't care if you make a nickel. You will probably lose because it's manipulated in most stocks. This is why I don't play stocks. I'd rather bet football. I have a better chance of winning in football than I do in stocks, because stocks are bullshit. You wake up one day and your $200 stock's at 120. You couldn't get out of it because you just woke up. How the fuck does that happen? Oh, it's manipulated. Okay. So you can't play the bank's game. You got to play your own game. We understand gold and silver are the way out. Every central bank but the U.S. is buying gold and silver. They realize the dollar's going out. That's how we realize it. Well, wait a minute. China and Japan and all these countries are dumping the dollar and they're buying gold. And China, for some reason, has 60,000 tons, and Putin's got 20,000 tons. And India now has 30,000 tons. Saudi Arabia's got tons and tons. And every central bank, except for the U.S., is buying gold and gold and gold. Why? Because they know the dollar's going out. So that's the proof, right? We can see the Titanic because we can see the water rushing in and the boat going down. We can't see this. The only way we can see this is losing value is by going to the grocery store and seeing that the prices are going up, which is really, this is being worth less and less. It's not as clearly shown here because of competition, as I said. If you make New York strips $20 a pound, but you have other steaks, or you can go to chicken or salmon or tuna or swordfish, so you can use substitute, which will keep, so you go to the cheaper stuff. Not that it's cheaper, just different. If Coke gets too expensive, you go to Faygo. Hey, it's pop. What do I care? Or Oreo cookies. You maybe go to Chips Ahoy, or you just don't eat cookies because they're bad for you. You go to apples and oranges. Those aren't really getting hit too badly. a little bit, but you don't notice the fruits and veggies. When my broccoli goes from $1.99 to $2.49, I don't really care. So that's what you kind of look at. Let me see if maybe my chat's not working. It's hard to say. But because normally I get hellos and questions on, especially on this stuff. A gutter guard offer. I don't live in a house. Okay. All right. So these are the keys to surviving, right? You need real money, not pretend money. And the reason we've been going on for 50 years is because we just keep printing it. But I guess we're the home base since we're the reserve currency and the petrodollar. You had to buy dollars, so they forced it on you. But that's gone now. The petrodollars, Saudi selling to anybody oil. You got this new Iran, Russia pact, Russia, China pact, China, Brazil pact. So they're all sending dollars to each other. It made no sense. So wait a minute, I got to buy. So I'm in Switzerland and I got to buy US dollars to then go buy British pounds. Why can't I just use my Swiss franc to buy the British pound? Why do I need US dollars to buy it? That made no sense to me. And that's causing a lot of this. They're getting out, but then it's all the money printed by the US to do that. And you don't need it anymore is all coming back to roost, which is massive inflation. Because at least it was out and people were using it. Now they're not. So now 160 trillion comes home. And as people realize there's no value, that's why they'll start selling it, which is what's happening, right? China, Japan are getting out of dollars and buying gold. And as soon as the Saudi king or prince starts realizing and sells his dollars to buy gold in Saudi Arabia, and they don't want dollars for oil because they're not worth anything. Believe me, if the banks are buying gold and getting out of dollars, the oil countries aren't going to be far back. Saudi's not going to sit there and go, well, let's see. Yeah, I want to keep getting dollars for my real oil because oil is a real product, not the dollar. So that's what's happening. So let's go to Jim Willie. So I was watching this guy. I don't really like him that much, although I know some of you guys do. He's not a Keynesian, but he doesn't understand gold as far as its price fix. So he doesn't get COMEX, doesn't get Basel III and Tier 1 and all that, from what I can understand. He likes the charts. So as soon as he mentions a tea kettle chart on gold, I know he doesn't understand it. You cannot chart a Ponzi scheme. You cannot chart this derivative gold because it's always buying and selling. It doesn't matter what the price is by JP Morgan. So it's got really nothing to do with it. You can't look at 2008, especially now that everybody's buying and it's more physical than the paper. And we're all buying. We all know the price is way too cheap. So he does say $20,000 gold, which I wonder where he got that from. And like at least I think it was $300 or $500 silver. It'll be 2,000, okay? Because once silver hits, it's the demand's huge, and everybody's buying it because the price is so cheap. So J.P. Morgan's keeping the price down, but it's not a free market price. And if Coca-Cola is now $3 for a 2-liter, I think gold would have went. This is still at 30. Like, oh, really? So. To answer the guy in Asana's question, well, what are you going to sell your gold? And you'll get into fiat. And the answer is gold will be the money. It's not going to be, I'm going to sell it and get euros or dollars, which are fiat, which have no value. I'm not giving my gold up for something that's worth shit. I'm giving my gold up for nothing. Gold will be the money that'll be what you'll value everything in, and it blows away anything else. So then you go to the grocery store and you'll have dollars because, as Mark McGuire said, you can't shave off a little bit of it. Well, no, Mark, but that's why you use silver, and they'll price it, and they'll have nickels, dimes, quarters, half dollars in silver. So if you do go to the grocery store, it'll be a nickel for milk and butter and tuna fish and all that. And you bring a 1 ounce of silver, you're going to fill up your cart. And if you need change, they'll give you back a quarter or a dime, which will be silver, which will be worth a ton. So that's what'll happen. But it's also, they'll have, I mean, how do you think the Romans did it? They didn't have money back then. They had gold and silver coins. And it worked fine for what, 1,000 years, 700 years? I mean, until they took all their gold and silver out. And once they did that, bye-bye Roman Empire. Now, it took a little bit of time, but they went out. And even they tried to stay. There was 2 emperors that came on later, and one went back to the gold standard, or the gold and silver coins, and they survived another 300-400 years. That one, the other guy didn't, and so it kind of split. One went gold, one didn't. The guy who didn't went out. The guy with gold survived a few more, another 100 years or whatever. All right, so Jim Willie, again, I don't know him. I haven't really checked him. I just like that it was how BRICS gold will respond to Trump tariff and de-dollarization. So I kind of wanted to hear his views on Trump and then BRICS. I'm always interested in that. So Mark McGuire definitely says the gold-backed currency is coming very soon. And he says just because it didn't come out at the BRICS summit, they didn't stop working on it. So they're still doing it. And if Russia's letting their prices run, it's because they're getting ready to go to gold. So that should be December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. It should be relatively soon, probably by the end of the year, but we'll see. If not, it'll be by the end of January. They'll have the gold-backed currency, and the gold will be, I know they're coming out with the physical, so it'll be a minimum of 3,000 to 3,500 in the beginning, and then it'll be revalued and look out. And then once people see it, there'll be the avalanche in, which is why I scream at you guys to buy it now before it's 10,000 an ounce, and you can't. And not only that, finding supply. If I go to my store today and he doesn't have, if people didn't sell him gold, he wouldn't have it to sell to me. And that's dwindling down. He says he barely gets quarters and halves. He gets ounces and some tenths of an ounce. And I'll eat them all up. Gold, let me buy. I mean, I walk in smiling, go, oh, you got some gold, good, I can buy it. Because I know that's the point. Now, to answer Luke's question, how much is enough? It's as much as you can eat. You're at a buffet. Should I eat 1 steak? Eat 5 steaks because you paid for it, and this is the way it is. You want as much gold and silver as you can possibly get. And I would recommend a little more gold than silver at this point because gold goes up in hundreds, silver goes up in cents. Now, silver should break finally to 100 and then to 500, then you're going to make a lot because if you can buy 1,000 ounces of silver a lot cheaper than you can buy 1,000 ounces of gold, or let's say 100 ounces of silver at $30 is what, $3,000. You buy 1 ounce for $27.50 of gold. So you can see when gold goes up 100, it's times 1, but silver doesn't go up the 100 to get you times 1,000 or times 100, right? But when it starts to do that and you have 1,000 ounces of silver, you're going to make a lot of money. But you got to wait. And then that'll be the money. The gold and the silver will be the money. It has to be. Forget digital. It's not real. It's a Ponzi scheme. And you'll realize that when people will try to sell it and they won't, or they're going to tax it, or the government will outlaw it, or the government is run by the banks who don't want competition. So they're going to change the rules on you that, oh, wait, Bitcoin, you can't use it, or they're going to tax it, or something's going to happen. but again, Bitcoin's the only one. The other ones don't do anything. So, that's very strange that Bitcoin would go up. I don't know if you believe it's 21 million ounces, then, sorry, that's stupid. All right, let's listen to Jim Willie.
My colleague Euroraj, he's been associated with the newsletter now for 8 years. A nice bunch of contributions. He said G7 debt now is considered toxic. G7 sovereign bond debt securities are considered toxic. And now you're seeing Japan desperately trying to get rid of their treasury bonds and load up on gold so that they can make an announcement maybe sometime later this year. I don't know. It's going to be hard for them. The announcement will go like this. We've got more gold now than we do treasury bonds, so quit selling our yen currency. They're going to have to get to a tipping point of having more gold than treasury bonds to back their currency. This is going to get very dicey very fast. Chris, I tell you.
So notice how he said they have to back their currency because it's just paper. This is worthless. This is not worth anything. It has a 5 on it. Go buy something with it. Especially here, I can't use this to buy anything. I can't go to the grocery store with the €5 and use it. I got to use this piece of crap. But this won't buy. This is slowly becoming this. This is slowly getting. Here's the value of your dollar now. It's about maybe a penny. And people can't understand it because we'll go to the grocery store and buy something, but you don't see it as much because of the competition. So if Coke makes it $10 for the bottle, but Pepsi doesn't, nobody's going to buy Coke. There's no brand loyalty. You buy, I want to buy pop, and what's cheaper? Oh, that's why they're the same price, because you would immediately switch off a Coke for Pepsi or switch off a Pepsi for Coke. Not even an issue. Or 7-Up, I get Squirt because it's cheaper when I drink pop, which isn't a lot. So you have to realize that the dollar needs to be backed. So that what he just said about Japan, they need a gold-backed dollar because their dollar is worthless. It's like 150 to the dollar. It's gone. Russia it went to 108, then it came back to 106, and now it's like 101. But when it goes gold, Russia's ruble will then turn where it'll take $100 to buy one gold-backed ruble. That's the power of gold, and that's why the U.S. is sweating. And Trump, but then Trump threatens with these sanctions. It just pisses off the Russians and the Chinese. They're like, who the fuck are you? Don't get involved with Russia and China. You're American. So you worry about your own backyard. You go put your gold back to back your dollars. So basically our dollars are worthless because he's saying they got to back the yen. Well, that's how every country needs to. Every dollar in the world, every fiat currency is worthless. It's worthless the day you print it and don't back it by gold or silver. It's already worthless. So, what the fuck are they talking about? So they played this little game, and the dollar's the lead dog because we have a military that'll kill you if you don't use it. Well, it's totally ridiculous. And really, it's not Austrian. In Austrian economics, the dollar is based on it's based on free market competition, and I'm going to sell my golf ball versus your golf ball. You're going to buy it. I'm not going to coerce you into buying it. You're going to buy it because it's a better product. So Trump wouldn't have to threaten with tariffs because you're better because you're better than the competition, but obviously we're not. And this whole thing of bringing jobs back to America, that'll never happen. That's why you went to China. You started this, Ford. You went to China and got engineers and everything else, and that's what you tried to do. So That's you started this. So now China, you've shipped all your jobs to China and India and Indonesia and now Mexico. And now you wonder why we have no jobs here, because you've shipped them all out because they were cheaper. It was a business decision. And now it's coming back to haunt. And we're totally fucked here because we don't have any, mostly because we don't have any gold. All right.
These are scary times. Let me just say that the 30-year chart, the 25-year chart for gold still shows a gigantic long-term cup and handle or head and shoulder.
See, this is where the guy shows he's not an Austrian. You can't look at a chart in price fixing. You can look at the chart in free market. You can look at the chart on a Joe Montana card or a Mickey Mantle card and see it going boom, boom. But you won't see this because it's Mickey Mantle. It does this, and then it goes up and up and up, and then up. You'll never see the down because it's not price fixed. So when I hear this from the guy, I automatically lose respect and interest because I realize he might know some of it, but he doesn't get the paper derivative gold. You can't chart it because it's not. What you're charting is real data, right? You want to chart car sales or you want to chart cost of peanut butter. You can do that because that's free market, right? Toyota can chart the Camry from 1999 to now, and you can see the little price increases. You can chart that, but you can't chart paper price fixed derivatives. It doesn't work because they're trying to keep the price down. So the chart's absolutely ridiculous, especially the other factors of Russia and China trying to do physical gold. That's what they're doing, is using a physical gold thing. So if they're doing that, then what are you talking about? Doing a chart, a trend, a teacup, whatever the fuck he's talking about doesn't make any sense. So let's see.
Reversal pattern, and the target is a lot higher. Okay, what we had with gold is it went down, and this is an amazing point to quote. It went down to the 20-week moving average, the gold price. It did not break it. And its retracement, you know how Elliott Wave says that if you have a very powerful retracement, it tends to be 38%. It tends to be 3/8. Well, that's exactly what we got. It was 38 to 40%.
The fuck is he talking about?
It went from 2760 down to 2580, 180 point, and 38 to 40%.
The fuck's he talking about? No, it went from 2780 to 2530, which is not whatever. He just conveniently made it where it was 38%. But that's got nothing to do with anything. That's where the derivatives were. That's what the support was. So when they did a derivative, it dropped because there was no buyback. And as soon as it hit 25.30, they created a new option, a call option. They wanted the price to go up. It's a game. They're playing derivatives. It's Eddie Murphy in trading places, buying the orange juice at 29 and selling it at 142. The problem is they sold it first and then they bought it. That's what an option is. That's all they're doing. When the price goes up, they're shorting it down, and when the price goes down, they are putting it up. So it's got nothing to do with the chart. But because the U.S. had to settle because of Basel III now, if people are buying it, they have to settle and give them the gold, which they don't have, which they have to have. So now the U.S. has to go out and buy the physical gold and pay off the Chinese because they've asked for delivery. And that's what kicked the price up, and that's what will kick it up higher until we're not on COMEX anymore, because they're going to lose trillions of dollars with these derivatives because they're going the wrong way. They're playing the game without understanding, no, the demand for gold is super high. Why would you fucking short it? Only an idiot is shorting gold at this point. You can't short it. You go long on gold and you go long on silver because they're in demand. Things are in demand. You don't short. You short things that aren't in demand. like Tesla stock, which should be shorted, and that's all bullshit anyway. That stock. Anyway, let's hear.
Decline, and now it's back up. So it has not declined that much because we're 2650 or something now. We're building a nice consolidation base for the next move up. You know, I find it kind of laughable, and I understand the emotional side to it, but we went from 1900 to 2700, and we never really had a big pullback. Well, now we have.
Right. It's a derivative. It's not a pullback. It's not a stock. This guy doesn't understand. This is the problem I have listening to these guys. They don't understand. And it frustrates me because I know it's happening very clearly, and they don't even go, what kind of pullback? What are you talking about pullback? Why would there be a pullback? It's not a stock. Nobody, if it was physical gold, is selling their gold now. Only an idiot would sell their gold now when it's going up, and your only option is to go back on the Titanic in this paper fiat gold that's worthless. Why would I want, or dollar? Why would I want to go back into the dollar? The point of getting off the Titanic onto the lifeboat was the boat sinking. Why would I sell my gold to get back on the Titanic? Only an idiot would do that, especially since you bought it to get off the Titanic. So nobody's selling their gold. Everybody's buying it. There is no pullback. It's derivatives. And they're trying to bring it down because they're fucked. And their options are like at 2,100 and 2,200, but they're not. They're gone. Because these are very cheap prices for gold and silver and are being bought out. And every time it dips, China, India, Russia are buying. So they won't let the price go down because the price is too cheap. It's going to 3,000. The U.S. is fucked because we got all these derivatives because they're a bunch of idiots. So all our banks are going to crash because they're all going to lose trillions of dollars in these stupid derivatives, which are just a joke. So they can play COMEX a little bit longer, but this is where it's ending, is Russia saying, no, we're going to have a physical market, and China too. We have all this gold. It's about time we saw it at 10,000, 20,000 an ounce, not this 2,700 crap. So it's okay to buy it, but that's not the real value, which is what I keep saying. So why would there be a correction? It's derivatives. Wake up. Who is this guy?
So it's time to make the next leg up. And the story for silver is very similar. An uptrend. Not a reversal pattern over many years, but an uptrend that's evident in the last year and a half, or maybe less than a year, 14 months. It stopped at the 20-week moving average. Silver halted at the 20-week moving average, right around.
A 20-week moving average or 50-day average are stock terms. They're not gold. Gold is not a stock. Gold is money. There is no 20-day moving average for gold. What the fuck's he talking about? It's not how it works. It's basically just derivatives. And that's all that's happening. They're shorting it to make money, and then they buy, they bet it to go up to make more money. That's all they're doing, is playing a yo-yo. It's got nothing to do with anything. There's no moving average. Jesus Christ.
30 and a half. And we're stuck there right now. We're getting ready for the next move up.
Why?
And, it's not going to be the Americans that do it. It's going to be China and India. I hated the name of China.
They already are doing it, fella. They've been buying silver and gold through the roof. Doesn't matter how much they buy, the price is not moving because it's all priced by the derivative. So if we went out and bought 1 million tons of gold tomorrow, the price of gold wouldn't move anywhere. Oh my God.
India that we used to hear 10 years ago. But China and India act very much in similar manner. What's coming is going to be exciting for silver. I believe the guy's name was Gary Savage, and he said, I believe 270 silver and 10,000 gold are very much in the making in the next few years. And we're running low on time, Chris, and I love being on your show. I think we're going to see some very difficult legislative and political haggling. And it's not going to be over, well, Mitch McConnell did that. No, it's going to be over a policy that is going to have enormous ramifications that are going to be difficult to manage.
Whatever. So if it was Randy Savage saying 20,000 gold, first of all, it won't be $275 silver. It'll be $1,000 silver. Because once COMEX breaks and all the silver being bought for these solar panels, the demand supply rule takes effect. If there's only so much supply and there's more demand, if there's 100 people wanting Mahomes and there's only 50 of them, the price has to go up. If there's only 25 people interested in the car, the price doesn't go up. So if you have more demand, if you have 100 people wanting 50, the price goes up. Well, that's how it is in gold and silver. The demand for it is huge, mostly solar panels, little electric cars, although all the Chinese electric cars are catching on fire, so I don't know who would want to buy one. I don't know what the market demand is. And China's subsidizing them with all their gold. That's why they can sell them so cheap, because they can't even make them, right? So Germany maybe makes the car for 25,000 because you need all the silver and the big battery and the big tires. It's a different car. So it sells, the cost is probably 20,000, and here they're selling it for 20 grand. Well, you can't be in business if the cost of the car, you can't recapture with the price. So if the cost is 20 grand, you got to be able to sell it for 30. You got all the plant and equipment and people. You can't possibly sell it for 20. But if you're subsidizing, so China's saying, well, I know it costs you 25, we'll give you back 15. So really now your cost is 10. So now you can sell it for 20 because we've reduced your cost. That's what China's doing with the subsidy. Anyway, so the guy doesn't quite understand derivative gold and silver and COMEX. He's clueless on it. He thinks it's a stock. What are you going to do? Now, he should have quoted Randy Macho Man Savage. It would have been better. I showed you this one. The guy got debanked. I don't know if I believe it. Does it do any benefit to do that? The bank runs on money, and if there's no deposits, the bank can't loan out any money. So not really sure what's going on with that. But let's say it's real. It seems to be conservatives, and but with Trump in there, it's not going to happen. Now, keep in mind, the banks run the government. The people are elected, get lobbyists. They're lobbyists to the banks. And as I said, Elon Musk is giving like $400 million to the government. He's a lobbyist. Oh, make my stock go up at Tesla, or let's do SpaceX. Both products he makes, there's no demand for. Who wants an electric car? You got to be out of your mind, especially in America. As I said, I was talking to this guy from Brazil at work, and he said, well, Europe makes sense to have it because they're all short drives to the cities. So you can, because gas is more expensive, it makes sense to have an electric car. It's cheaper. You fill it up. Does the charge last for the week? Is the weather going to be a factor? Probably wouldn't work in Russia. It gets too cold, and probably wouldn't work in the warmer climates of Spain and Portugal. In Italy, if it gets really hot there, the car won't work. But that's what he's saying. So it's more of that you have that. So that's the thing. So the electric cars are more in Europe. That's what I was saying. And so because they're more in Europe, it doesn't work in America. We use our cars too much. In Europe, there's the train system, and there's the what do you call them? The trams and the buses. So like you go to Amsterdam, you don't need a car. You just you can either rent a bike and go a mile into town, or you just take the tram, go, or there's, I remember taking like a train, a subway. Well, it's kind of a subway. And I went from our hotel to downtown where all the action is. And it takes about 10 minutes, and it was fine. I mean, it was very cheap, and it was all day. You probably could have got a week pass for a couple dollars. But the fact that there was a subway, you didn't need the car to go downtown Amsterdam. You just needed either the tram or the subway, which are both very cheap. And so I don't need a car there, right? I can just go do my grocery shopping while I'm downtown Amsterdam, and then go on the subway and then bring it back to the room and do whatever. So not a problem. And that's that's the way it is in a lot of these places. There's people do a lot of walking within reason. They'll walk a mile. They don't need the cars. So the electric car, it's kind of looked at like that. Well, we'll buy it and we don't need to. We'll charge it on Monday and it'll last a week, and then we'll go. But they don't. We'll just get on the bus or the tram or whatever and go to the grocery store. But that's the way the cities are. Here, I can't get to the gym. The gym's 10 miles away. I can't walk it. There's no buses to take. I can go to work. It's 15 minutes by car. I can't walk that. I can't tram. There's no bus going there. I can't catch a bus outside. Taxis are very limited. I could Uber, I guess. It's a lot more expensive than the bus or the subway in Europe. So again, there really isn't that much of a demand. Switzerland, I was in Geneva. You don't need a car. Again, you trammed. I trammed downtown. Took about 10 minutes, and there was all these stores and restaurants and the little Lake Geneva. So that was all there. So you didn't need a car. I wouldn't have rented a car. So that's what you got. It's really really not needed a lot in Europe. And I guess if you want to drive from point A to point B, which is maybe going from Amsterdam to Rotterdam, you'd probably just take an Uber or take the train. I guess you'd take the train. So I really don't get needing an electric car at all in Europe. Maybe a little more in Japan or in Japan, in Germany or something. But again, here, there's stupid to have electric cars. So what's Tesla doing with there's no demand for it. I'm not going to give up my gas. I'm not going to drive to Cincinnati, let's say, or Alabama or New York in an electric car, because I wouldn't know where the hell the charger is and how long is the charge going to take. I'm going to wait 10 hours to charge my car as I'm trying to go on a vacation. No, I think I can just go to gas. I don't have to worry about it catching on fire or anything like that. And, that's it. Like Luke said, he needed a battery. Okay. How often is that? Every 5 years? And stuff like that. I mean, there's a little bit of maintenance, but it's mostly change your oil and your brakes and your tires, which you do every 3 or 4 years. And that's it. But you're going to go out and the car normally starts. And if you need gas, you go to the gas station, which is on every corner. So that's the difference. So I really don't get the electric car. I would never buy one. There's no demand. It's just like going to crypto. I would never buy Bitcoin because I don't know what it is. It's not real. It's digital. All the digital computer crap, stay away from. It's bad. It's Ponzi schemes. It's all bullshit. That's the point. If you can't see the money's there, I go to the gold store and I buy the ounce of gold and I take it home with me. I know I have it. Here it is. But if it's digital, how do I buy a Bitcoin? And then what do I do with it? Well, it's in my wallet. Well, how do I get it out? And what if my bank doesn't take it? And what if I send it into my bank? I say, okay, give me the $100,000 that's the Bitcoin's worth. And they'll laugh at me. Nah, we're not giving you money. We're doing a bank in. We're going to debank you for dealing in Bitcoin. Anyway. So this Jim Willie, I don't know much. Here's another Egon that I showed you already.
Wealthy people in the world who believe that wealth protection, that's having a property, building in London or a building in New York or a building in Hong Kong, not realizing that property is currently one of the biggest bubbles in the world. The fact that property's gone up for quite a long time is actually that it's high risk. It's not wealth preservation. You buy an asset when it's undervalued and unloved. And most of the assets today are overloved and overvalued, whether you take property or stocks or bonds. And this is why gold is so important. Gold is the only asset that protects you against the continued money printing worldwide and the continued debasement of currencies.
Inflation.
All seniors on Medicare.
Why does he call it debasement? He doesn't know it's wrong. Anyway, so that's what I'll leave you at. So understand that it's all a Ponzi scheme. You're being fucked. The financial planners put you in stocks, maybe bond, maybe an annuity. It's all both because you're still in money. The guy did that to me at the bank, said, I can put you in a 9% annuity. I go, but then I'd still be in dollars. I don't want to be in the paper fiat Titanic money. I want to be in gold and silver. So I'm going to buy gold. And then, it was a shake my head. He's trying to keep me in dollars. He doesn't want me out of the dollars. He doesn't want me to leave the bank with their money. And it's the same thing with the guy. Well, what are you going to sell it for? Or gold's not an investment. Well, what is it? It's the same thing as a baseball card, except it's money, or a Rolex. Is a Rolex an investment? And I love bringing that up. And the guy just doesn't know how to respond to me. Is gold an investment, or is Bitcoin, or is a Rolex an investment? Is a Mantle card an investment? What is an investment? It's something that you think that will go up in value. Well, gold's going up. I bought it at 17, 1800. It's 2600, 2700. It's going to 3000. What is that? Isn't that an investment? I mean, these people talk like a bunch of idiots. Anyway, they're going to be in big trouble staying in their 401k monopoly money, and don't think that Trump can stop it. If Julius Caesar couldn't stop it, Trump ain't stopping it, right? Trump cannot stop the dollar going to zero, because the simple point is this only has a value if somebody wants it. That's the point of it. Is there demand for this card? If there is, and it's Mahomes and it's 50, there should be a demand. That's why I bought it, because it's just 50. If it wasn't 50, I wouldn't have bought it. It wouldn't be worth much. But here, is there demand? Yes, it's Mahomes. He's the best quarterback with Joe Burrow. I know Bobby thinks it's him. Him and Joe Burrow. I love Joe Burrow. So this is the point. Is there demand? So you try to buy cars that are stars that there's demand for. And that's the point of it. And that's what you try to do in a Rolex and a Picasso and all this other stuff. Now, is there demand for the Bitcoin? No, you really don't have anything. So how do you know there's 21 million? Because he said so. We don't even know who this idiot is. Like I said, it's Mr. Fuji. Well, what are you going to do with that? Can I see it? No, you can't see 21 million. Why don't you have the coins and number them to 21 million? Yeah, we can't do that. We're just going to do this. And it's so stupid. We got to farm and we got to do, miners to prove that the transactions are. Well, why are you doing it all manually? The banks have no problem. I go to the grocery store and I use my debit card, and immediately it says, "Oh, you just paid $50. My account gets credit." Why is it so hard in Bitcoin? I mean, that to me is a joke. I mean, it's not better; it's worse. We got to make sure and it's only good for drug dealers and prostitutes and the Russian mafia, because they don't want anybody to know what they're doing, which apparently they do now. And now Larry Fink comes in with ETFs, and it's just, you're fucked. You don't own anything. And how can you buy something? Who's spending $98,000 to buy Bitcoin with the demeanor that, well, it'll be worth more. What'll be worth more? You're not selling me anything. What do you mean it'll be worth more? There's nothing here that's it. So it's just really crazy. Anyway, good luck on the games. I got 3 locks if you're interested. My locks were 6-1 last week, and I've been pretty good on them. And that's what you have. So again, a lock's just more confidence in the game. I look at it and go, yeah, this should happen. And that's it. So we'll post a lot of the pros probably this afternoon or tonight. I can't go to the pool and do my running because there's a swim meet. Who the fuck does a swim meet at a city's, rec center? You're doing swim meets. Unbelievable. So I can't use my deep water. So I got to either run in the short water, which really hurts my back, or just get on the bike for a long time. So I don't know if I'll go. Probably mostly to use the hot tub and then, I guess run in the shallow water, which I don't want to do. But it's good to get out. And I made a steak last night because I did it after class, and that was, but I'll eat it today. And I had too much sugar cookies Wednesday. I was kind of, you kind of go, well, as I'm at work, I'll have a few cookies, which led to a few more, And I just feel like I feel more guilty, like, you idiot, you shouldn't have sugar. You don't want to be diabetic and you don't want to have all these issues. So, sugar kills you. So what are you doing? And so I'm trying to fast today. So far, I haven't eaten. I don't know if I can last, but I do have the steak, which I can eat Sunday. Normally, I go to Chinese today, but I don't think I will. And maybe I'll go to barbecue tomorrow. We will see. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Be wary. There's no such inflation does not go down. It only goes one way, because once you've printed the money, it's like me. I just ate the sugar cookies. Well, I ate them. You can't get rid of what you did. Now you don't keep eating them and you let it get out of your system. But I've already eaten the cookies. You can't get away from that. You've already printed the money. You cannot get away the fact you printed the money. The money's worthless because you print so much of it. So that's what you got to understand. Once you've done that, you're fucked anyway. Anyway, I don't know if people could chat. Maybe that's why I don't see chat, because usually it's at least the good mornings and the highs from G and Titus and everybody. But I don't see anything, so don't be offended. And that's about it. So good luck on the games today. Again, you can buy the class. You don't have to watch the class, so I'm giving you, if you want the pros tomorrow, $75, or buy the class for $25. If you want the locks, well, the locks are mostly today, 1 lock tomorrow. So you'd be better off buying the pros or buying both to get the picks. All right. Well, have a good day. Good luck, everybody. www.teaserking.com. And I will talk to you tomorrow morning. All right. Take care, everybody. Buy your gold and silver, because the price is only going to go up, not down. And it's getting more and more limited to find it. And I'm noticing on eBay, the prices are much higher. I'm seeing $2,800 an ounce. It should be $27. So I don't really know what's going on there. I will buy another ounce next week, because, again, I get my Social Security on Monday, and then I get my normal paycheck Thursday, and I just got paid Thursday, and I already paid rent. So it's a very good time for me, this extra Social Security money. I'm hoping Trump will allow me to keep getting my Social Security money, and I can buy a lot more gold with it, but we will see. Anyway, it's nice working, and work's going well. And that's about it. So soon, Christmas is coming in a couple of weeks, and New Year's. So I love this time of year, Thanksgiving, then right into Christmas, right into New Year's, and then January, the January blues. But we got playoffs and everything else, and the Super Bowl. So have a good day, everybody. Good luck. I hope I hope I can make you money, but you got to buy to let me make you money. All right. Take care, everybody.